The Spanish Civil War, a brutal conflict that tore Spain apart from 1936 to 1939, cast a long shadow over the country's history. Its consequences continue to resonate in Spanish society today. The war was the culmination of years of simmering tensions, social unrest, and political instability that had plagued Spain since the early 20th century. To understand the eruption of this devastating conflict, one must delve into the complex web of historical, political, and social factors that set the stage for this tragedy. This essay will explore the key factors that contributed to the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War. It will examine the political instability of the Second Republic, the deep social and economic divisions that plagued Spanish society, and the role of radical ideologies in exacerbating these tensions. Furthermore, it will analyze the assassination of José Calvo Sotelo, a pivotal event that acted as a catalyst for the war. Finally, the essay will reflect on the long-term impacts of the conflict on Spain and its significance in contemporary Spanish society. The proclamation of the Second Republic in 1931, following the exile of King Alfonso XIII, was initially met with hope and optimism. The Republic promised a new era of democracy, social justice, and modernization for Spain. However, this hope soon gave way to disillusionment and division as the Republic struggled to address Spain's deep-seated problems. The new government faced immense challenges, including a deeply divided society, a powerful Catholic Church resistant to change, and a military suspicious of the Republic's reforms. The Republican government implemented a series of reforms aimed at modernizing Spain and addressing social inequalities. These reforms included land redistribution, secularization of education, and the granting of autonomy to Catalonia. However, these reforms were met with fierce resistance from conservative forces, who saw them as an attack on their traditional values and privileges. The left, on the other hand, pushed for more radical changes, further polarizing the political landscape. This political instability created a breeding ground for extremism and violence, pushing Spain closer to the brink of civil war. Underlying the political turmoil were deep social and economic divisions that had plagued Spain for generations. Spain in the 1930s was a country of stark contrasts, with a small wealthy elite controlling most of the land and resources, while a vast majority of the population struggled in poverty. The land issue was particularly contentious, with many peasants living in abject poverty, while large estates remained in the hands of a few wealthy landowners. The Republic's attempts at land reform, while well-intentioned, were often too slow and limited in scope to satisfy the demands of the landless peasantry. This economic inequality fueled social unrest, as workers and peasants increasingly mobilized to demand better living conditions and a fairer share of Spain's wealth. Labor strikes and peasant uprisings became increasingly common, further destabilizing the already fragile republic. The rise of radical ideologies, such as anarchism and communism, provided an alternative vision for a more just and equitable society, attracting a growing following among the disillusioned masses. Against this backdrop of escalating tensions and political violence, the assassination of José Calvo Sotelo on July 13, 1936, proved to be the spark that ignited the conflagration. Sotelo, a prominent monarchist and a vocal critic of the Republican government, was dragged from his home by members of the Republican Assault Guard and murdered. This act of political violence sent shockwaves through Spain and served as a catalyst for the military uprising that would plunge the nation into civil war. The assassination of Sotelo, while not the sole cause of the war, exemplified the climate of fear, hatred, and political intolerance that had come to define Spanish society. It shattered any remaining hope for a peaceful resolution to the country's problems and emboldened the far right, who saw it as justification for their long-planned coup d'etat. Within days, General Francisco Franco launched his rebellion, marking the beginning of a long and bloody conflict that would leave an indelible mark on Spain's history. Hey, history buffs, welcome back. Today we're diving into the Spanish Civil War, a conflict that divided Spain from 1936 to 1939. Imagine a map of Spain split in two. On one side, the Republicans, on the other, the Nationalists. Sounds intense, right? It gets even more impactful. Let's start with the Republicans. This faction was a mix of socialists, communists, anarchists, and other progressive groups. Picture socialist propaganda, workers marching with red flags, and anarchist militias. They even had the International Brigade's volunteers from all over the world who came to fight for the Republic. But despite their passion, they struggled with internal divisions and a lack of unity. On the other side, we have the nationalists, led by General Francisco Franco. This side united phalangists, monarchists, conservatives, and military sectors. Think of phalangists with blue shirts, aristocrats and clergy supporting the cause. And oh, they had some heavy hitters backing them up, Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy. With such powerful allies, the nationalists had a significant military advantage. Several key figures entered the scene during this brutal conflict. For the Republicans, Manuel Azaña, the President of the Republic, and Dolores Ibarruri, known as La Pasionaria, were iconic figures. If you've ever heard "They shall not pass," that was La Pasionaria's battle cry. On the nationalist side, Francisco Franco quickly emerged as the supreme leader. Now, let's talk about the decisive moments that shaped this war. The Battle of Madrid was fierce, with buildings in ruins and civilians fleeing. The bombing of Guernica was devastating, immortalized by Picasso's haunting painting. The Battle of the Ebro saw soldiers crossing the river in makeshift boats, fighting tooth and nail. And the fall of Barcelona marked a turning point, with nationalist troops parading through the Catalan streets. Each of these events left a lasting mark on the history and collective memory of Spain. War cemeteries and commemorative plaques serve as solemn reminders of the conflict's tragic outcome. So, there you have it. An overview of the Spanish Civil War, its factions, key figures, and decisive moments. It's a story of two Spains at war, a story of passion, struggle, and anguish. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth historical analysis. Until next time, stay curious.